Well, that was frustrating. I got so wrapped up in this that I don't even know where I quit recording. Because I got wrapped up in mapping out this dirty, ugly bore. I'm getting different readings on this plane as I am on this plane by 1.5 10,000ths. The grand result is that no matter where I go, I'm getting as much as 3 thousandths a run out, but that's about 1.5 on one plane and about 2 on another plane. So, as I was saying, I roll up, I can see the lettering, and you can see the dial. I roll over to the opposite side and it moves 2/10. Now I move to the other plane of adjustment, and I've got that, and it goes below and it comes back to 0. This is the frustration of a worn bore. It's got the tops of the lands are blown off a little bit. I'm reading them, but I'm not getting, so what I've done is I've hewn as closely as I can to a fictitious center line. And at this point, I guess it's going to behoove us to get behind here and chuck this indicator into the back side and take some readings and find out. This is raw data. This guy chambered it between centers because that's what you did in those days. I know I would put big money on the fact that the guy who chambered this barrel had never, well, first of all, he'd never heard of the Gordying method, but he had never even thought about chambering a barrel other than between centers, because that's just what you do. That's a given, that's a known. And that's why I have to keep going back to Gordy and saying, bright man, Gord, I mean, that's so cool that you did what you did to come up with something different. That's how the world moves forward. That's innovative to come up, hey, how about, what would happen if we straighten this little section of bore right here? Now, is that what we're actually doing, or is that, that's an open question. That's what we're trying to show here. Right now, I'm running into frustration issues here. So now, after an hour of watching me dink around and jack this thing around, I'm just gonna, right now, in front of you and God and everybody, I'm taking this out of here. I'm taking this out of here. I'm going to find out what kind of work dude did back in the day that he did. Because between centers, the back of his chamber should show then very little run out, shouldn't it? Isn't that the whole contention of people that our accuracy is all about? Make sure I can get this little task to even get down to where I need it. But in the commonly accepted vernacular, it's fair to say that most people will say, if dude did his job right, the back of this chamber should show very little run out. The first thing I'm going to do is wipe out the back of that chamber before I even get too close with that indicator. There we have something. Now this is just an aside. It's not that we're killing time, even though you're going to feel like that because I'm eating up time on the internet, on the video. But I've played with this section of bore now for much longer than I'm willing to. I have played with this section right here, and I've got these goofy readings because there's chatter in there. Because, who knows, I mean, this is a dog patch barrel. I might have 2,000 rounds on it, I don't remember. And I didn't even run a bore scope in because just at the last, I'm turning it into a fireform barrel. If it shoots, fine, it's 12 twist. I don't care if it shoots, I'll go burn up, maybe I'll go back dog hunting. Anyway, probably ran this thing so far up I bottomed it out. That was childish. I think that's going to read on the monitor. What do I have? I have 4 10,000ths of run out in the back of that chamber, and I have not taken one direct reading inside that bore with an indicator. Everything has been done remotely through the Gordy system. Take it or leave it. So now we got a chamber that's running out within 4 10,000ths of an inch, which is not acceptable in the real world, but this is an old worn out piece of crap. So right now what I'm going to do is sit down and mark up some measurements. We're going to blast this thing into a fireform barrel, and we didn't prove anything. Unfortunately, I completely wasted your time, but hopefully there was something to be learned in my methods. And I'm going to have to go find a new barrel, which I have piles of them here. Pick one and do this over again. But the one thing I can do right now, I don't know if I want to. Let me go in, see if I can reach anything with this. I really can't reach anything with this indicator on a chamber that big. Nothing. 243 Ackley is such a monster. I'm going to tighten this down, and I'm going to probably off camera make my stupid Fireform barrel. I started out with the best of intentions. I expected to find a barrel that when I got up into here, I got nothing. This section of the bore right here is well lined up with the outboard section, and I'm willing to do a bunch of goofy tests on it because I can cut and edit this video so that it makes no difference to you guys what you see and how and when. I can't cut and edit the video, but I can just set up another barrel, go through the same thing again, watch it or not, and we'll do it again. We're going to find a crooked barrel. The weird thing is I did two the first time because one of the ones there was straight. Straight barrels are so rare, but Murphy's Law dictates that they're going to crop up when I'm trying to prove a point. So, I got a straight barrel last time too, and didn't waste a bunch of video, but I didn't prove it, it didn't show anything, so we did another one. I did two, and the second one had 20 thou wobble. And then I put it in the fixture and we did this whole really cool thing. But the music was playing in the background, so that video is just sitting in the can. I can't do anything to it until I can either edit it or find out the implications. So far, everything I find is that if I send a music video track with music playing in the background to the YouTube is going to say, And that's fine. They can, first of all, they can say whatever they want, and second of all, that's fair enough. That's their, not only their policy, but if I were a music artist, I would feel the same way. I'd be get paid for you to listen to me. So, we will, I'm going to get a little angle on this, which screws up the readings. And I'm going to say, deal with it. Well, I'm going to do the choke up thing, just because. I'm going to choke this thing up to a different place of reading, see if I can get it on camera. Really what I'm doing here is I'm getting ready to reinsert the Gordy rod, knocker this stuff down. I'm going to set this down to where I'm going to continue my project and turn this barrel, it's in the lathe, I've wasted all this time putting it in, I'm going to make something out of it. What I'm going to make is the Fireform barrel that I've been referencing throughout these videos. Whether I feel good enough to let you guys watch me try to re-engage these existing threads or not, we shall see. I guess worst case scenario, I can have the camera running, and if I can make a complete mess and have a train wreck, then I can either entitle that that particular video segment "Train Wrecks by Al," or I can just not show it to you and pretend like it never happened. So I'm going to turn this down, and well, I guess I can insert the rod in case you see if I got any of this stuff right. I didn't. Get that up out of the way for a minute. Reinsert the rod. Now, to recap, that Texta mark, that Sharpie mark, that marker mark, that black mark. Marker mark's kind of funny. I'm going to consider that rod as pre-biased because earlier I hung a weight on it and my material readings didn't change. I just did that in case I was getting some funkiness, which I wasn't. I could even put this in further and I know that this chuck's not aligned well enough to not put some tension on that rod. That alone is going to bias it. I don't care if it biases up, down, or sideways. All I'm doing is indicating off of it. All I care is that it be biased. Okay, now, it shows enough on video that you can see it. Now we got way more bounce than we had before. I'm choked up. This is something that's meaningful to me because I've got my own thoughts about this distance and this distance, and let's just say that this brings it closer to a direct read. That's really the reason I want to set this up, to share again in Al World where my brain works and how my brain works. And this is a way of using this indicator and still getting readings that are kind of direct correlation, so that as I train my hands to make corrections, that I make the corrections in a repeatable way. This is just freaky. Now the thing bounces monstrously tenths one way and not the same back the other way. That is just crazy. Calling this the top, there's the lettering. I roll to make this should be the bottom. It goes back to where it was. Now I take this side and it's way up here by, I can see it as the 5. I do it again and it goes back up to almost the 5. And unfortunately, this is so much more pronounced now that I've choked up that indicator, which is exactly as it needs to be, as it should be, as life indicates that it has to be. So again, 5, rock, rock, and back to 5. Clear down here, it's 7, not 7, about almost 7 ticks away, and then back to 9 ticks away. So I'm going to give this 9 tick side just a tick. But basically, this plane here reads up somewhere from right there, watch this, right back to right there, and now this plane down here to not quite as far down here. I might be changing something. So, loosen this a little. Okay, way down by the 10, back to the 7. This side here is still almost 5 and almost 5. This side here is still 7 ticks away and 7 ticks away. So we got a bunch of clickety-clack in there, but I believe that that's in the bore, and I'll show that as we go through this. I may well just leave this off. But at this point, I'm done dinking around with this old used barrel. That was stupid. I feel like I didn't waste my time, because I do still need to make a fireform barrel for a series of fireforming videos that I'm making. But it didn't do a whole lot for what I have here. So now I'm going to go to the outside, tighten my outboard screws. I need to check this. I never do this after the fact, but I just want to make sure. If one of these moves, I got to put the old rod back in. Well, 2 didn't, so it is hard. Okay, it's plenty tight to hold this. I'm just where the taper breaks off with this, which is possibly another reason why my little gidgets are, because they're right at that break point. Maybe they're springing more. I can't comment on that. I don't know. So I'm going to tighten this up, and I'll probably turn the camera back on to find my threads and chase them down for the nutting assembly that I want to put on here. And if I bugger it up too bad, you won't see it. Or if I bugger it up too bad, you will see it, just so you can laugh it out. I'm not too proud that way. So see what we don't know at this point what the next episode's going to bring.